David and Goliath battle, so many of them. This is one of Sophie Pearce's reports, so it's well worth listening to. It's all over a new housing development in Totnes, which has been given planning approval despite vehement local opposition. Now the local parish council is trying to get the Secretary of State, Eric Pickles, to intervene and get the plan stopped. Sophie has got this report.
Well, here on a lane outside Totnes, on a hill, looking down over the town, is Great Court Farm. And over to my right, I can see the cattle in the barn because it's winter. And over to my left is the farmhouse. Now, this is the site which the Duke of Somerset wants to build 75 houses on, but it's proved very controversial in the local community.
We're looking at a multi-millionaire trust-funded hereditary peer who is wanting to shoehorn a housing estate, another housing estate, right on top of the last dairy farm in Totnes. And I think it's just made people annoyed.
In Totnes, we're feeling slightly under siege. There's already planning consent for over 400 houses in the local area. And it's not that we're against new housing coming forward. We recognise that people need homes. But it feels like we're taking more than our fair share when our infrastructure is under so much strain.
Christopher Mockridge and Francis Northrup are among those opposed to the new housing, which has already been given planning permission. At Totnes Town Council, which is not the planning authority, they're furious that the scheme's going ahead because they say it's simply not sustainable. They claim it'll generate too much traffic and put excessive pressure on local facilities. Councillor Carol Wellwood says the decision was based on erroneous information.
Development should be sustainable, but who decides sustainability? Is it decided by the people who actually live in the place or by officers in faraway Exeter who can say ridiculous things like Berry Pomeroy School is within safe walking distance, a primary school, or that this site of 75 houses will only generate 20 car journeys in the morning rush hour?
The council's now asked the Secretary of State, Eric Pickles, to intervene, and the case is being looked at by the National Planning Casework Unit.
Not many of these cases get withdrawn, but this one's looking hopeful, and I think it's the strength of local feeling that's given it that impetus, that's made that look likely, and made the National Planning Casework Unit put this thing on pause. So it's not a stop, but we've come an awful long way in a short space of time.
What we hope is that the Secretary of State will call it in, which means that there'll be a public inquiry into whether planning permission should be granted on the site. But in the meantime, we'll continue to try and talk to the Duke and also the trustees, because the land is actually held in a trust with two other trustees, and we will be continuing to talk to them to try to get them to work with us locally.
The developer has told BBC Radio Devon the development will be sustainable and will provide much-needed affordable housing. Both sides will now have to wait and see whether Eric Pickles orders a public inquiry or allows the development to go ahead.
And it's a tough doing it, isn't it? Interesting. Sophie Pearce, a couple of things that did catch my eye overnight. I knew about this last week, and then I suddenly became aware of other problems. PG Tips